Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've taken more emphasis on trying to help beginners getting into two-rail O-scale, and so today I would like to announce a product I'm releasing, a kit, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but first I wanted to go back and, if you'll note the theme of this channel with this particular hopper car, the Ortner 100-ton hopper car, which I did in brass. Just to remind you, on O-scale trains, the third part of a 6-part article has been published and is available. So if you want to see the progression of how I developed that particular brass model from scratch, I encourage you to subscribe. In previous videos, I also talked about developing the sides for that particular car on the 3D printer. To give you a little more close-up of the model, in the brass version, it was fairly easy to start development work in FreeCAD to develop the sides of this car. And I also experimented, if you'll note in a previous video, where I was trying to create stenciling for lettering on the car. The reason for developing this on a 3D printer is the lower cost, of course, and the easier to get into the scale on plastic before starting in brass. So you'll note this was one of the sides that I developed in the previous video for the car, and the thickness of the wall is very, very thin, trying to stay to scale. But on the first printing, we printed it flat on the bed, so there would have been a very good leveling, and you would have seen some of the print line work on the sides of the car. That can usually be filled in later on with some primer paint, but in this case I was experimenting a little bit by actually printing the car on edge so that the printer was going back and forth on a very narrow strip width supporting. This turned out very well, and the line work literally disappears and you get more of a steel paneling effect. However, the trouble with this particular side was the thickness, so there was a little bit of warping here, and because you can almost literally see through this if you hold it up to a light, it had a little bit of a ripple here. So what I'm going to do in the future is beef up this side a little bit and try that print a second or third time to see how it turns out. So I hope to actually fully develop this car for the 3D printer based on my brass work here. So I know all my dimensions already. I'm very familiar with the car, so it should be relatively easy to develop the rest of the parts in FreeCAD and get them ready for the printer. And that's exactly what I did with a new project that I want to introduce to you for a model kit that I've developed specifically for the beginning O-scale two-rail modeler who may not have a lot of experience building models or kits, but this is a good way to start getting some skills before you get into making models out of brass. The particular car that I'm going to show you is a waffle-sided boxcar. So we'll show that to you here in just a second. This is the Waffle boxcar partially assembled kit that I developed using 3D printing technology. I developed this particular kit for beginner two-rail O-scale modelers who do not have a lot of experience building models. Thus, this isn't going to go together in 45 minutes with 5 or 6 parts ready to run. This kit is designed to challenge the beginner modeler. It's designed to think about innovations in building it, improving it as it goes on. The particular boxcar was used by many railroads, and the idea here is to build some modeling skills while at the same time enjoying the hobby. Building these skills, my intent is hopefully it will help the modeler at some point get into building models from scratch in brass. What I consider probably the ultimate challenge. And as you can see on this kit, the roof is very flat. It does come out, does not need to be glued down, and the inside of the boxcar could be detailed or loads put in, so there's a lot of options. The actual detail on the roof would look something like this, which comes in approximately 11 sections and would be laminated onto the flat part of the roof. The inspiration for the Waffle box car came basically from this Illinois Central kit that was put out by Walthers many years ago, which my grandfather built and is in my collection. While my kit is not an exact replica and it wasn't intended to be, the features that I think I've built in are an improvement from, at least in terms of scale, detail, and challenging aspects. A feature which you would typically not see on a lot of railroad freight car models is a center sill that actually works as though there's a draft gear on the drawbar of the coupler, so there's some action there. On the original Walthers, that was built in with hidden springs in the center of the center sill. And so I've tried to stay with that because it's kind of neat. And it's just a feature that you wouldn't see on a lot of models. I have the assembly instructions for download as PDF or just for reading online on my website. I will give that link. And I have this kit available on eBay for sale. I'll show some additional pictures in this video so you can see actually what how many parts are involved and how this might come together. And I've thoroughly enjoyed the development of this project. It's been fairly long term, but it's turned out much better than I expected when I started out. So I hope you enjoy this video and check out the assembly instructions on the website. And on my next video, we're going to probably talk a little bit more about my brass tank car work and leave the 3D printing for a little while just to keep the channel interesting for all the various viewers. And so I hope you enjoy this video. So you subscribe, share it with your friends, click like, and feel free to comment. To show you a little bit of the underside detail, I'll take it off the tracks here and bring it forward. You can see where the springs would go in the center, which will be covered up, and those center sills actually independently will move. And I think I'll leave it up to the modeler to figure out the piping on the braking. I like to use highly detailed trucks on my models. These are brass trucks. An Atlas truck would probably work just as good, a 70-ton Atlas. The doors and ends along this, they are not completely finished yet because I haven't glued all the detail on, but there's quite a bit of work left to do on this model, and it isn't particularly challenging, but you would have to think about the process, about such things as painting and not painting before gluing. And hopefully my assembly instructions that are available on the website will definitely help with that type of process, to help the modeler who's not done a lot of kit building before not make too many mistakes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, comment, and we'll see you in the next video, and probably talk a little bit about some of the work on my tank cars. I'd like to get back to that and keep this channel interesting for a variety of viewers.